Islamophobic to wonder or suggest that Islam is not as welcoming to other religions as religions are to them? It's just, I just wonder, because I never hear this equation in reverse. I'm glad that the cops might have saved the mayor's wife's life. It's going to make it hard for her to like the ISIS post, though. That's going to be tough for her. You know, Zoran is a naturalized immigrant, and many of these violent, hateful people are the same. I don't think that this idealized nation of immigrants that we talk about means anything unless there's a common denominator. We've forfeited the expectation of assimilation. We no longer even, it's not like we don't even demand it. We don't even expect it. And we're too scared to reject their anti-American positions, all for the sake of appearing tolerant. This is what you get, suicidal empathy. We extend our hand, they want to chop it off. There is a vibe shift going on over the last 20 years. When you see the media covering for terrorists, that's different than, say, 2006, you know, when the mayor leads with Islamophobia after a terrorist attack. That's interesting. Neglecting that this so-called Islamophobia actually is arising from Americaphobia.
So that's Greg Gutfeld, and I want to remind you again of the New York City Police Department Chief Aaron Edwards. He's a 2-star. You rarely see someone that high of a level out at a particular event getting involved. But in this case, he saw the person with the bomb. He jumped over the stanchion. There's a great picture of him. You can find it, you know, if you just Google his name, Aaron Edwards. There's a great picture of him, and it makes you proud to be an American, because this guy was putting his life on the line to protect the city that he worked for. Now, I've got some audio of some of these calls from 9/11, and I want to remind this because, look, Zoran Mondami wants to say that we're being Islamophobic. I'm not Islamophobic. I am terrorist phobic. Okay, and I believe for the last number of years we have allowed a lot of military-aged men from countries who hate us that we have no idea, and women too probably, that we have no idea what their goals are for being here. And I think it's okay to do like what we did with my grandmother, where we asked what your purpose was to come here. Did you have a job? Were you an anarchist? Were you, you know, what was your plan to do once you got here? I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And I think it made people want to assimilate to be Americans. But here are just 3 of those calls that were made on 9/11 by people that knew they were going to die in these airplanes, but just wanted to reach out to the people they loved.
Hi, are you there? Jack, pick up, sweetie. Okay, well, I just wanted to tell you I love you. We're having a little problem on the plane. I'm totally fine. I just love you more than anything. Just know that. And, I'm comfortable and I'm okay for now. It's a little problem, so I just love you. Please tell my family I love them too. Hi, honey.
Elsa, it's Lynn. I only have a minute. I'm on United 93, and it's been hijacked by terrorists who say they have a bomb. Apparently, they have flown a couple of planes into the World Trade Center already. It looks like they're going to take this one down as well. Mostly, I just wanted to say I love you. And I'm going to miss you. Mostly, I just love you, and I just wanted to tell you that. I don't know if I'm going to get a chance to tell you that again or not. My stuff is in the safe. The safe is in my closet in my bedroom. The combination is push T for clear and then 0913. And then it should, and maybe pound, and then it should unlock. I love you, and I hope I can talk to you soon. Bye.
Hi, baby. Baby, you have to listen to me carefully. I'm on a plane that's been hijacked. I'm on the plane. I'm calling from the plane. I want to tell you I love you. Please tell my children that I love them very much. And I'm so sorry, babe. I don't know what to say. There's 3 guys. They've hijacked the plane. I'm trying to be calm. We're turned around. and I've heard that there's planes that's been flown into the World Trade Center. I hope to be able to see your face again, baby. I love you. Bye.
So that's quite emotional. Okay, those were 3 women. That would be so like me giving Lynn the combination of how to get into our stuff because you know you're not going to make it through or you think you're not going to make it through. And whether it was the first war this country ever had against the Barbary pirates with Thomas Jefferson, those were radical Islamists, okay? They got put off for a while because they took over they created the Ottoman Empire and they got to control about half of Europe for a long period of time. And so they kind of stayed in their own lane until after, and was kind of decimated after World War I. And then what you saw was a lot of growth in the Middle East and other areas, these countries looking a lot like the West. And again, I know there are people out there that have been taught the West is a bad thing, but the West had freedom, rights for women, enlightenment, ended slavery. People want to put this slavery cape on the Western world. And yes, they did get involved in the slave trade, but they were also the ones that ended the slave trade. That has made it to be thought that having slaves was a wrong thing because there's many cultures in the world today that still have slave trade. But we have made it to where the developed world, the civil world, thinks that's a bad thing. And also I love, I was listening to this interview about indigenous people in Australia and Canada and the United States. And this idea that the indigenous people were just singing Kumbaya with each other before the Europeans got there is just not true. They were taking over lands from each other just like people and men and women have done, mostly men, since the beginning of time. People have moved from one place to another for resources. And sometimes it wasn't pretty. And the way it's being taught to a large number of people has made them hate who they are. And it's not about white supremacy or whiteness or white privilege, because they are ideas that get held up for everybody to be a part of. And we're getting ready to celebrate the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence. At this time, 250 years ago, they were working on it. And I went by the post office today to get some 250th anniversary stamps because that organization's been around about as long as the country has. And, it's important that we understand this history because the Declaration of Independence was one of the greatest documents. And do you know why? Because it set out an ideal that, no, we had not achieved yet and may never achieve, but we set it out to accomplish it, and we're better every year. And when I see people like Kamala Harris and Barack Obama and Joe Biden and Bill Clinton even talking about how bad things are, really, you want to know what privilege is those 4 people talking about how bad things are, who have had things handed to them on a silver platter their entire lives. Maybe not Bill Clinton because he came from Hope, Arkansas. But, folks, we've got to fight for our culture, and that doesn't mean white culture. It means Western culture that is civilized and has freedom for women. Where are the women's groups over what's been happening around the world to women? Where are the women's groups about what's happening to the Iranian women's soccer team right now? Some of them are staying behind in Australia, but some of them are going home because if they don't go home, their entire families are going to be killed. They may be killed when they get there, but they're going home knowing they may be killed because they didn't sing the national anthem. We may criticize Colin Kaepernick, but no one tried to kill him. The government didn't try to kill him. But these women, the ones that are staying behind because they could get killed when they get there. The ones that are going because they know they may get killed when they get there, but if they're afraid if they don't go back, their whole family's going to be killed. This is what we're fighting against. Let's go to the phones now and talk to Scott in Gainesville. Hey, Scott, how you doing?
Hi, Martha. Thank you for taking my call here. I'm in 2010, I did my master's in world history education at Piedmont. And during that class, one of the things we discussed was, and this was in the books, in the college books, about the Islamic influence in southern France and how they had come over from Africa, and they still do, and they had already set up communities in Sharia law, and even then, in the books, it talked about how the government and the police would not go into communities. And so, I got kind of stunned about that because I'm a baby boomer, and I've been telling people, I've been saying this the last 8-9 years. I have friends that live in Texas, and I would tell them, when I heard about the Epic community, and they just kind of laughed at me. And this was a couple years ago. This is coming to Gainesville. This is coming to Hall County. If we think we're kind of isolated, and I wonder, as a Christian, are we so compassionate that we will sit back and allow this to happen to our country or to our grandkids will fight it or be faced with it? Not me, because I'm so old. I'll be gone before it gets to that point. But I think our culture is saying, we Christian, God, Jesus tells us to love our neighbor, and it doesn't really tell us in the New Testament to rise up against this like it does in the Old Testament. So,
I think, though, if you heard the audio I played earlier in the program, it was of a man who was a Muslim along with his family, and that over time, because of kindness that people showed them, they all converted to Christianity and talked about how much better their life was. You're not going to convert every person, but I do believe that in the Christian faith, you are more likely to convert people with love and with kindness and compassion. But I understand your argument about how if we just sit by and let these things happen. And I think that what happened is we've allowed too many boundaries to be blurred, let's just put it that way. And to your point about France, is that their problem is that they allow anyone that was a former protectorate of France to immigrate there in any number. And that was Northern Africa, which is Northern Africa has a lot of Muslims in that. And again, I'm not saying that I know a lot of great Muslims. I know a lot of Muslims that are not radical Muslims, but I think they're even afraid to speak out against the radical Muslims. Scott, thanks for your call today. And I think that what we have to do is, number one, don't forget 9/11 and what happened on that day. But you also don't forget the war against the Barbary Pirates. You don't forget the USS Cole. You don't forget the attack on the Marine barracks. You don't forget October 7th. You don't forget all of the IEDs and roadside bombs that took arms and legs and lives of not just Americans, but people in the area. Don't forget the people that use women and children as shields. This particular radical sect is on record saying we use women and children for shields because we know that the infidels will hesitate. We've got to draw a line between good and evil. And that doesn't necessarily have anything to do with freedom of religion. You have got to draw a line between good and evil. And if you're coming here like these two people who, I don't know if they were radicalized in the United States or if they came here radicalized, I don't know. But they were throwing bombs with horrible, if those bombs had gone off, the stuff that was inside of it as well as the chemicals that were inside of it would have created havoc, many deaths, but also a lot of injuries. And that is not acceptable. If you cannot provide security, you cannot have sovereignty.